Reza Safinia, thank you for joining me on In The Naad today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let me just give a little bit about your background. You are a creator, you are a composer, and now you've just started a new podcast. Is it One Over Infinity? Is that how you would say it?
That's how I say it. Some people say 1/infinity, but it's really an expression of a mathematical fraction, which in my language I say 1 over something.
Tell me the mathematical equation.
Well, it's just like a half or a quarter or a third, but this is like the numerator is 1 and the denominator is infinity. And in calculus, that's a approximation of 0, but it's never actually a real 0 because it's just an infinite approach to 0.
Love it. So now the podcast is sort of, what is it about creativity? It's about the what it takes to be a creator.
I guess. Really it came out of the idea of I want to talk to my artist friends and about the nature of creativity itself and why we all do this, because I myself and a lot of my friends went to college and we could have gone and done normal jobs and made a whole lot more money than we have done, but like we all chose to do the things that we've done for some reason. And it's sort of like a conversation about what is that reason, which underneath it really is something that I would say is spiritual, but like not everyone has to use that word, but everyone I've spoken to, including the ones who are scared to use the word spiritual, they admit that it's something that you can't quite put your finger on, that it's not something completely tangible from this material world. You know what I mean?
So a calling or a channel? Do you think it's a channel? I think it's channeled to a large degree.
I for sure think so, yeah.
You have studied Kundalini. And in Kundalini, we're a 10-body system. And we talk a lot about the subtle body, which is the 9th body. It's an energetic body. And we talk about how the subtle body, if it's balanced and in tune, it brings in creativity and intuition, and it opens the floodgates to access whatever is out there in the cosmic field. And I think a lot of creation has to do with that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that, all artists start quite young, having some kind of feeling about something outside of the normal range of what other kids are doing. And also they start showing some signs of some skill or talent in some type of artistic field like painting or music or something like that. And again, because of the way the world is so productivity focused, especially in our culture, a lot of times as a child, you don't really think about that. You're just focused on learning how to do what you're doing. You enjoy what you're doing. It's fun. Suddenly you realize, oh, art is more fun than, physics,
Yeah.
But you know what? Physics is fun too. It's just the way that we're taught about these things. We're taught to rely so heavily on logic and so little on intuition and feeling that it kind of like, it's not just that it's not fun. I just think it's not completely honest to actually who we are, especially if you're a very sensitive person when you're a child,
Well, that's actually very accurate. In addition, if you feel like you have this calling or you feel like you have something that you really want to master, but then you're told that it's not, you can't live off of that, or that you can't generate income, or that you can't live the quality of life. And I think that more and more, especially in this age of AI, we're learning that that's actually not true. What makes
Completely.
you the best craftsman you can be is to follow your heart, because then that heart-mind alignment comes together, and we realize that what we're producing is actually magic on some degree.
100%. Something, in your language or even in my language, I would say that we talk about spiritual things and alignment and things like that. But even people who are so far away from that, I don't think anyone has a contest that authenticity is important these days. I think even the people who are just completely not spiritual and completely focused on goals and like, making it and whatever, even they would agree that authenticity is the key to having that success. And I think that's just their language of saying the same thing, like being in alignment.
I think that authenticity is the most important thing we can have in this new age, and it's detectable, right? Everyone's intuition can glom onto it. What was I just going to tell you? I had a really interesting thought about authenticity, and I guess it just escaped me. But yeah, it's very interesting. The creative aspect hits us all in such different ways. And so for me, I don't consider myself creative, but I know when I'm feeling it because my body, if I hear a good song, suddenly I have goosebumps. So it's ephemeral for me. It's not even spoken. It's so unacademic. It is an experience.
Absolutely.
Like looking at a painting, what does it do for your body? I mean, it sort of perks you up. You feel the body open up. You feel your heart open up. It's really an incredible experience, and that's when you feel the authenticity.
Absolutely, I really feel that. I read an interview when I was quite young. I think I was like maybe 20 or 21 with Lenny Kravitz, and it was really interesting to me because the interviewer was asking him some question about like, oh, when you were young, were you just like smothered by women? And he was like, no, I wasn't. I was actually like a total geek, and I just wanted to stay in my room and practice playing guitar. And then he went on to say that anyone who's a real artist or who has put in that time to dedicate themselves has really spent a lot of solitary time. And it's not what you think it is. I mean, we market this image as like these sort of sexy rock stars or whatever, but in order to be able to do what we do, we've had to really go deep inside and have alone time and connect with ourselves. I thought that was one of the most impactful things I ever saw when I was quite young.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So the journey of an artist is certainly a lonely one to some degree.
It is, but I think also, again, without actually using the word spiritual, he was really talking about some degree of having introspection and time with yourself, as well as the time to actually hone your skill as a like for him, a guitar player.
Yeah, well, it's a bold move to turn your back on sort of societal norms.
Yeah.
Becoming a professional.
Absolutely.
And saying, okay, I'm going to risk it. It really is a risk, which is why it's heart-driven.
Yeah.
And that's what another thing that's just so impressive about that as a career is that it's heart-motivated. And it's becoming more rare to see that, although I think we're going to have a rebound.
I think so. I mean, I've actually been talking about this a lot with both the people who've been on my podcast and also just generally amongst my community of artist friends, that AI is you can't be AI in being a robot. It's going to be a much better robot than any human can ever be. And for some reason, humans have been trying to be robots for like at least 20 years, maybe longer.
Gene, yeah.
Right?
I see where you're going. Yep.
Yeah. And so, I think we are not under any kind of threat if we lean into our humanity. But as long as we try and act robotic...
Outcompete it. We can't outcompete it.
Exactly.
We can't outperform robots at this point. So what we have to do is lean into humanity.
Exactly.
And I think that's going to be so refreshing.
Me too. I'm excited.
I mean, think about that. We were talking about this the other day, and I was thinking more about it. And I don't think the future is bleak. I really think it's quite beautiful and exciting. And it's really about navigating it. And again, as you said, leaning into that humanity, because once we do that, there's an enormous amount of freedom in leaning into something where you're not constantly being performative.
I totally agree with that. I actually am hopeful, but I do also believe in what some of the... there's a guy called Mo Gaudat. Did we talk about him last time?
I don't know. I don't think so, but tell the audience, because...
Yeah, I don't remember what he did at Google, but he was some like important person at Google at one point. And now he sort of does the podcast circuit, and he talks a lot about futurism, or he has a lot of predictions about the future. And his big prediction is that we're in for 15 years of like things getting very bad. Like we're going to go into a very dark age for 15 years. But that at the end of that 15 years, we're actually going to break into the best time that's ever been known to exist. And I kind of feel that in my heart, actually. I think that could be true.
Look, I think we're always having those explosions, right? We're a combustible society, but the thing that man does is we keep trying to outperform ourselves, and we're constantly seeking for perfection, and that's not going to end.
Yeah.
We will find our way out of this.
Yeah.
And even if robots become sentient, which they may or may not, I mean, it seems to me that they are to some degree. But okay, who cares? We can coexist.
Sure, why not?
I mean, we haven't learned how to coexist with animals, and maybe that's a lesson for us.
Oh, yeah.
There's a deep lesson in our inability to have coexisted with animals.
I really agree with that as well, because like I feel like the biggest lessons I've actually learned in my life were from my cats.
They're such fabulous teachers.
Yeah.
Cats are incredible teachers. They can even shame you to some degree. Like if your behavior is wrong, you're like, ooh, what have I just done? They're really spectacular. I love them. I'm ready for a new cat.
Oh.
So how's the podcast circuit been for you so far?
Well, it's been really great. I've recorded 7 episodes and I've released 2 so far. And so it's very new. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying interviewing people.
You're really good at it.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I have to say, the last one, I know it wasn't supposed to be, but it was very erotic for me. the two voices, your voice is so hot. Your guest voice was so brilliant. And like I said earlier, I almost lost track of what you were talking about. And it was long. I mean, you free roll. You're like 2.5 hour podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. When I was a kid, I was so fascinated by art, and my social life really revolved around, like after school, my friends coming over to my house, or me going to their house and playing records to each other, or looking at books of like Salvador Dali, or like, stuff like that. We'd be like, one of us would discover something and then share it with the group, and it would just be like, wow, mind blown. And that was just like one of the sweetest memories of my childhood or my teenage years. And I kind of, as an adult, you get so wrapped up in things having to have an end purpose. Like you take meetings because,
What's the outcome going to be? We're outcome.
Exactly.
Generation.
And I really just missed having that connection with people who care about art.
Right.
And that's kind of where these long sort of rambling conversations are coming from, because they're kind of like me recreating that teenage bliss that I had of just connecting with another artist and talking.
Yeah, I noticed that you and your guests just riff.
Yeah.
It's really about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, eventually you get into what the inspiration is, and the creative process, which I think so many people, especially here in LA, are interested in. I know that I am. Especially if you don't have it. Really, if you just...
Do you really believe you don't have it?
I believe that I have such a deep appreciation for it, but I don't. I have curiosity, which I think is so valuable. And I have deep appreciation, and I have, like I said, this visceral response to beauty and people who create, and I love to be around people who create. But I don't have that so much.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you about it, because obviously you know yourself better than me. But I kind of have this, I don't know, maybe whimsical thought that everyone has creativity in them. It's just a question of what we choose to express, or what we're allowed to express quite often.
Well, for sure. Look, I love to sing. It just doesn't mean that I'm not necessarily good at it. So yes, and I think especially as women, because we are the creators. No offense to men, but we're right. And so it is important for every human being to have an outlet of expression. And that usually comes from some sort of creativity. And when I say that women are creators, doesn't mean that you have had to have had a child. It means that that is what we do. That is our gift. We create to the universe. We create life. And I think that it's so important. Have you ever met someone who doesn't have a creative outlet? It's like they're stuck.
Yeah.
Nothing moves through their chakra system, right? It gets stuck in sort of that third, fourth area, and there's no way to release it. It's creation is invaluable to us as a species, and I think to every species. It's just, do we use that as a way to channel on a regular basis? Is it something we choose to dive into? Is it something we do in the privacy of our home, in our shower?
Yeah, that's a good question. Means a lot of times I think about what is the purpose of life? Like everybody,
Existential question.
Existential question. And, like at the end of it, like there really isn't any purpose to life other than what you experience along the way.
Right, the journey is
the journey, right? There's no like actual, like I was meant to do this or meant to do that, and I think, creativity is really a part of that journey for me anyway.
Well, yeah. Again, we're going back to that. It's the subtle body and part of our 10-body system, which we all encompass. I don't know that we all have a purpose in life. What I would say is that we learn how, between, a birth and death, we learn some way of navigating it smoothly and with gratitude. I think the navigational skills are sort of what we're here to learn so that we don't repeat, like I believe in incarnation. So I would say that for me, it's important that I learn how to smoothen out my past because it's been really rocky. And I look back on it and I think, wow, you've come a long way, baby. And that feels good. I don't know what the future has in store. I don't think any of us do, which is why I don't like fortune tellers of things of this nature. But I do think that if I said, what was my goal? It would be to live in gratitude and learn how to navigate with more of a flow.
Yeah.
Less resistance.
That's beautiful.
And hopefully creativity in the next life. Yeah. So talk to me about your newest album. You've got one coming out, and your music is fabulous. It's kind of all over the place. Like, you do not have a genre.
Well, I kind of do as an artist, but I think that because I do other things, like I make music for film and TV, I do soundtracks, they all exist under my name. I at one point I was considering maybe doing my own music under an alias or something else, and I just decided to do it under my own name, which probably was a mistake because the way Spotify aggregates everything.
Oh, we were talking about this, right?
Yeah, it just, so like if you look at my Spotify, the first 5 tracks are just a hodgepodge of things I've done over the years, and they have no continuity, so they don't really make a good, they don't paint a good picture of where I am right now as an artist.
Well, you can't grab one specific audience.
Right.
And as you were saying, your algorithm doesn't like it when it sees other people on your page.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I understand that. It happens with me too.
Yeah, it's and I mean what I should have done at the time, but I just didn't, and now it's kind of too late. Maybe it's not too late.
I don't think it's too late to start a business one and the private one.
Or like a composer one.
Right, the personal one would be your composer one because that's a lot of your...
It's just that not that I really care about this stuff, but like other people seem to care about statistics and, all the play counts that I have for various tracks. If I change my name and move part of my library to that new name, it will all start at 0 again.
You don't have to change the name.
Oh.
You just have to have a business. So it could be like... One would be the name of your podcast.
Oh, that I have. I have the podcast separate from the thing, but I mean, more what I mean is that, like I did the music for a TV show called Warrior, and that was a popular show, right. And especially the theme tune, so it has a lot of play hits. But then I also have made like underground techno tracks. And Spotify can't distinguish the difference between the guy who did music for a TV show and the guy who's making underground techno. And what I'm doing right now with my new album, it does have an identity, and it's a lot influenced by Depeche Mode, I would say.
It sounds. I was gonna say that, but I was because there's some stuff that I get like Moby vibes, who I love, and then there's the most recent one has very Depeche Mode vibes for me.
Yeah, and that's the beginning of rollout of the music that I'm going to be putting out over the next year, and it's a lot more. It does have a very identifiable sound
For sure.
So that is the new album, and the album actually is also called One Over Infinity. It's essentially the concept that I'm trying to sort of put out there in the world as my statement right now, because, well, going back to the idea about the math, about the infinite approach to zero, it's the idea that, and also about the discussion about existentialism and purpose. It's the idea that, like, if you zoom out from a far away, right? We're 8 billion people on this planet, and then that's just this planet. Who knows how much intelligent life there is in the universe, right? So it's kind of like, what does your life really matter? It's almost a zero, right? But it's not actually a zero. The operative part of that sentence is that it's almost a zero, but it's not a zero. So I think that one over infinity is a very interesting like a symbolic representation of the fact that, as insignificant as any life might seem, it's actually completely significant and never meaningless. And also, I think another way of looking at it is that the duality of truth, in that we're all part of one consciousness and we're all connected, and yet we are all also divided into individual experiences, and honoring those two statements side by side, to me, is a beautiful way to live and to think about life. And so essentially that's the concept of the album, and every song is about how we relate to each other as people, how we relate to our environment, the planet, how countries relate to each other politically, how we relate in romantic relationships. It's just like a study of our relationships as the collective one, and as
the individual.
And the individual, yeah.
Right. And you're right. Like, we can't exist without each other. And I'm not just talking about human beings. I'm talking about, obviously, fauna and insects. Like, there is no real individuality, and that's a very interesting concept. The concept of duality, and I've been really diving a lot into mirroring the mirror image of life and duality, and they're both really profound. They're not as surfacey as you think. Like, there are so many layers, and duality, it's amazing how if you go so far into one side, you end up in a complete circle.
It's so true.
It's a complete circle. Again, that infinity thing, right? It never ends. It's just a crazy loop. And mirroring is also super sophisticated.
I know. Yeah. Wow.
I love both those concepts, and I'm doing deep dives into both. So what would you say is your messaging right now? It's just about universality?
It's universality. I mean, I think that there's a real lack of love in the world.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I really would love to impress upon people that, like, love is actually the only thing that really counts for anything.
And it feels, just allow yourself to feel, to be loved and to love. It's such a yummy, cozy feeling that it's so foreign to so many of us. And when it hits, it's just like a wave, and you just want to hold on to that feeling. And it's, we're so separated now by the internet. Although I do want to say that I think that this culturally and universally and in terms of countries, and at some point I think it might help unify us. I think it's like your friend said. I think there may be a little bit of a a padding right now. I think we might go dark before we come and see the light. But that happens anyway. That happens during revolutions, industrial revolution. This is just something that man has gotten used to, and I think we'll survive it. And I think that those of us who want to stay in the light can do that and be forces of positivity and leadership for others. And certainly music is a great way to do that. It's just a great way to do that.
For sure. I mean, I was always inspired by music on so many levels. But I went to a concert a long time ago. I was 15. I went to see Red Hot Chili Peppers in London in a place called Brixton Academy. And it was like such an interesting concert to me, aside from the music itself, which I really enjoyed. And this was before they did Blood Sugar Sex Magic. It was before they were like hit.
Really big, yeah.
It was before they were really big. They were kind of more like an indie cool band. And but their audience was such a wide variety of people. I had never seen so much diversity in an audience. Like literally every race of human being that you can imagine was in the audience of this concert. And it really moved me because I hadn't seen that, unification so much, especially, when I was 15 years old. Like it was a lot more segregated in a lot of places in the world. And it really like hit me like, wow, like music really has the power to unite people in like fabulous ways.
Well, think about it. In that moment, the band creates the frequency.
Yeah.
And then we all rise to that level. So you're literally all vibrating on a similar frequency, which is why raves are considered such spiritual, euphoric experiences. How often are you in a room where everyone, thousands of people, hundreds of people, are really vibrating at the same level? That right there is unification. That's something that we all need more of.
100% agree. This Sunday, actually, this last Sunday gone by, there was this incredible like festival in LA State Historic Park. And it was kind of like a rave. I there were thousands of people there, like 10,000, maybe I don't know the exact count. And Eric Prydz was the headliner. Oh, yeah. And it was just, I felt like I was having a religious experience. I mean, it was wild.
They are kind of religious experiences.
Yeah, it was amazing.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you're so connected energetically to a huge body of people. I mean, we need to bring that tribal, not the kind of tribal, not blue or red tribal, but I mean, we are one. We're part of each other. We need more of that. And I think people are craving it, and it seems like live performances are bigger than ever.
For sure.
Those venues are going to start to blow up.
Yeah. Hopefully not exactly, though.
No, gosh, no. Come on.
But
no, I love a live experience.
But you know what's funny for me, talking about all this stuff? I think a lot of people would agree with what we're talking about. But it's so funny because people then get stuck into their definitions of things. And it's like you could have two people who both agree that being loving and being tolerant and whatever is like a great thing, and to both of them they both feel that they are doing those
and
things,
they're tolerant, but
somehow they're at each other's throats, and they can't somehow make peace of that. And I think both of them are trying to, but quite often they're just not able to for some really insane reason. And I think this problem exists in a lot of levels of our interactions, from personal ones to political ones to, I don't know.
Well, you know what I have to say to that? Meditation, breath work, yoga, and psychedelics. It's really simple. We have to start going inward because you're right. People are so unaware.
Yeah.
Right? You just have to take a bird's eye view to see how often or how identified. I think a lot of people they're so identified with that aggro aspect of what you're doing wrong and how I see things that they can't detach.
Yeah.
They literally can't detach. They think they're either pious or wholesome or a good doer, and yet they can't let go of that identity. And that's what we need. It's the breakdown of the ego. So again, yoga, breath work, mantra. I mean, you get that. That's right. That's coded frequency.
Yeah.
It's not music. It's coded frequency. And and psychedelics. Those are the ways that I know right now that help one get out of their own head and escape their identity. Because identity is a choice, right? It's something that you create. It's a mask. But it's bullshit. It's just bullshit.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Like, we are love. Let's start with that. And then everything else is secondary. But you can't love when you're in your own head or when you're attached to a team or an identity.
I totally agree. And, that's one of the things, going back to talking about animals and learning from animals. Mm-hmm. It's so amazing, like, when you meet an animal, right? It's on guard for a minute, like...
Protective.
Protective.
Right.
It's trying
Do I go into fight or flight? Or
yeah. It's trying
trust.
It's trying to figure you out. But once it figures you out and it figures out that you're a friend, it's so friendly. And they're not just that way with us. They're that way with each other, like I've observed my cats, who both passed now, but when they were alive, sometimes raccoons would come into the garden, or sometimes a skunk would come in, or even I had a possum, which was very cute.
They're so cute.
So cute. And it was just so interesting to see the way my cats would interact with these sort of new people coming into their territory. At first, they would be defensive about it. But then they would see that, like, and then the other animal would sort of like, either be a foe or be like a respectful animal who's like, we're just visiting, visiting your garden over here, And then when my cats sort of felt that comfort that they were being respected in their territory, then they were generous to share their territory with that visitor, And, I think we can learn a lot from observing things like that.
Yeah, we have to eliminate this fear factor that's been programmed into us, and it's constantly coming at us from, like, even when we talk about UAEs, as you and I talked about, it's always like how dangerous they are. The government's already set us up to believe that they're coming to terrorize and that we have to be on guard. And somehow we have to dig deep inside, because I just see neuroses everywhere. And we have to find a way through this path of fear. Mm. I think it is the worst. I think it is the thing that is holding us back the most. We're afraid of each other. We're afraid of other people's ideas. We're afraid of words, which, look, I mean, words can hurt, but they're nothing to be afraid of, right? And so fear, right? If I could think of one thing that was holding back humanity the most, it's fear. And we're not born with that. We're absorbing it.
Yeah.
And I think that, COVID was a great time to look at how that impacted us and how certain people are still living with that. I mean, I still see people in cars with masks on and gloves. And I'm like, wow, like, what must it be like to live in that person's mind? Think about that. When you're so terrified that you can't let go. You just can't let go. You're still holding on to that fear. And that person believes what they're doing is right.
Exactly.
Right? There's no objectivity. There's no ability to release. And that's got to be a horrible place to live.
I agree. I mean, I definitely see that fear seems to be a very strong motivating factor.
Think about it. Most of those people who are that afraid are not orgasming. I'm serious. They're not allowing themselves to have that most tantric experience. It's impossible. That requires complete letting go, complete vulnerability. So if half the world is living like that, half the world is not having that release or incapable of having it, that's a problem.
For sure. I mean, even like more important than the release itself is the ability to give and receive love and affection. And I
But
think
that is the release.
yeah, I know a lot of people are just too scared to do that too. It's unbelievable.
Doctors are making a lot of money. Therapists are making a lot of money.
It's true. It is quite amazing how like even like I have a very disciplined practice for my yoga and meditation, and also just working out. I do Pilates as well, and it always makes me feel so good. But even sometimes I lose my discipline, and I go down a little bit of a hole, a little spiral, and all I have to do literally is just move and I feel so much better. And sometimes I get psychologically blocked where I'm like just spend days not moving. And then the less the more time passes that I don't
The easier it becomes
to not do
to
it.
not to do it.
Not to do it. And then I kind of get fortunately hit this sort of rock bottom moment where I'm like, okay, this is gotta end. I've got to do something. And then I go. And then as soon as I do it, I feel amazing. And I'm like, why didn't I just do this 5 days ago?
It's a head trip. But so back to my practice. You and I were talking about this the other day, and it's the meridians, the Ida, the Pingala, and the Shushmana. And right, they say that it is very difficult to be in your best creative process if energy isn't flowing, right? Isn't this the whole process of chi and Shakti? And we have to keep that alive because the more energy we have, the more creative, the more vibrant. And so, I mean, yeah, we all lose discipline, right? We're human beings. This is just our human incarnation. But the fact is that you get up and you start over again. And also, in addition to feeling lazy, you're probably not creating. And you probably want that. You probably need that juice again to excite you. And so you know how to do it. And if more people were to heighten themselves energetically or get into some sort of physical routine, I mean, we're blessed that we actually enjoy it, right? And it's not a burden for us. But that is key to any human life. Keeping that Shakti, that energy alive, using that prana, because what we're doing, we're accessing cosmic energy.
Yeah.
And that's the Akashic field. That's where everything lies. And that's where you're drawing your creative forces. And this is where it all begins. So keeping that energy, that prana, that Shushmana moving is key.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a simple thing and it's so obvious that.
It's also difficult.
Yeah. But like the idea that it's so obvious that like we don't know what makes your heart beat. We just know that it starts and then it ends. So somehow we've just decided to ignore that question as to why it starts in the first place. But, you know, okay, even if we can't answer that question, acknowledging the fact that there must be something that kickstarts that thing to begin with. We don't know what it is, but like, you know, you're calling it prana, which I call it that too. Some people call it chi, you know, whatever. But very obviously there is something there. Like, otherwise...
the battery of life.
Yeah.
What's the battery underlying all things? I think the Egyptians thought it was the sun, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that too.
Right, the sun is pure energy.
Yeah.
So there is an underlying, we agree, consciousness, battery that starts life.
Yeah, has to be.
Has to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, they say that that energy doesn't die. So where does it go when the physical body...
What do you think?
I think it goes into the ethers and it evaluates this incarnation until it's ready to be manifest again in physical form.
Do you think it manifests or remanifests in the complete kind of way that it was before? Like, do you think that you, for example, do you think that you are a soul, and when you pass, your soul exactly as it is will go into another body?
I think that the soul retains experiences and emotion. I think that you can incarnate. I think there's so many different levels of incarnation. I mean, and planets and where on this universe you're going to come back. I think the soul determines that. It depends on what kind of education the soul is craving.
But what
So they say that the earth is a very hard school.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So many emotion and the separation, death, losing your children, losing a loved one. So they say that the earth is a very hard itinerary. Whereas, if you incarnate as a higher spirit or something in the ninth dimension, you're not going to be so emotional.
Oh, that's interesting. Something I wonder about is whether souls like get mixed energetically. Like, yeah, like for example, like let's say your soul and my soul can come into one body at one point in the future.
That's a very interesting question. And I'm going to actually think on that. I'm going to meditate on that. What I do think is that our souls travel in soul groups. So you have 30 or so people that have been impactful in your life. And whether or not they're as impactful in various lives is different, but they will somehow be connected. So if it's your brother in this life, it could be your uncle in the next. I think we stick together. I think we choose each other. So I think that's less random. A lot of channelers, actually, they channel soul groups. I don't know if that means that the souls, if the souls become one or fuse into one. It's a really interesting question. Maybe advanced souls do. I would think that you'd have to be more advanced in order for that to be the case, because more universal, more conscious, higher frequency, I could see that merging. Whereas the denser, the newer souls, probably less likely to do that.
One of my cats, I often wondered if he and I were part of the same person at one point in a historical lifetime. That's what made me start thinking about this, because this cat did everything the same way as me. Like, his instincts were the same as my instincts. And it was just like blowing. My other cat wasn't. I love my other cat deeply too.
I get it. I get it.
But this cat was like, it's insane. He's literally the cat version of me. And it just used to blow my mind. I'm like, we got like some shared memory of something,
I think I read something about this and why we connect so much to them. Because they're open for that connection, and to some degree they mirror. Because they do tap into you spiritually. Remember, you're not just a part of their life, you are their life. You are their life. And so the ones that really focus, they connect with you on a spiritual level. That's why they are your spirit animal.
Right.
They touch your soul.
Yeah.
And their instincts are so elevated compared to ours.
Right, exactly. Well, that's another thing I think about a lot as well, because it did dawn on me that the instincts of animals are more elevated than ours. And actually, instincts, they, in our sort of weird society, have had less value than logic, but I think they actually have higher value than logic, actually, which to me means that actually, like, animals might be the elevated life form.
I agree. And how is it that we only have 5 senses? How can instinct be eliminated when it's probably the most important? You even learn that if somebody loses their eyesight or their hearing, their instinct, which seems like the predominant sense to me.
Yeah.
It is the one that takes is the most important to nurture, and it is the strongest for survival.
Yeah.
I agree. I just think that instinct. I don't even know how that. I often think about the fact that when you look at ancient cultures, they must have been so much more elevated instinctually. And it's because they were part of nature. We live so separate from it,
Yeah.
right? Whereas I imagine once upon a time, like if you look at American Indians and if you look at native people of any indigenous species, there was something so much connected to earth and spirit. And when you even in the readings, you can see that there was the people that were connected to the ethers versus people who were more connected to earth versus water and fire. I think these are things that we've lost along the way.
I agree.
And living in homes and certainly living in apartments. I think you and I were both talking about the fact that we couldn't go back to you grew up in London.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Manhattan, and I think we were both discussing how going back to that kind of life, as much fun as it was, would not work for us now.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
I do, 100%.
Imagine having lived in a building during COVID. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Talk about bringing out all the worst fears and all that crazy because your mind is just focused on those four walls. Wow.
I was very lucky during COVID. I lived near a beautiful hiking trail, and I was there every single day, and it was beautiful. And it was also like a cool community of people there as well. And
I loved COVID. I think it was great for creating community, great for introspection, great for planet appreciation. It was amazing how quickly the planet came back to life. Around here, I had birds, we had cats everywhere. It was great.
yeah, and the sort of like people walking their dogs hour, it was amazing. Like suddenly, even though we're not supposed to be out, but we can be out to walk our dogs, everyone decided to walk their dogs exactly the same time, and it was like kind of a street party.
How about because people weren't really communicating, the eye contact was so intense.
Oh, yeah.
We're just like using our eyes to connect.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got so pissed off when I saw people wearing masks outside. It was just one of those things that got me so irritated. I remember just being so happy outside and then seeing that, and it would automatically make me crazy. I have to work on that. I get aggro pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
with certain things, just because, God, be grateful to have outdoors. Be grateful for the earth.
I mean,
use your common sense.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really hard. Like, see,
Yes.
here's the thing. I agree with you, but like, I also have compassion for people who don't, because the thing is that they're being hammered into this narrative.
Of course.
That, like the germs are everywhere and they're going to kill you, and, and the statistics being hit like left and right. And who knows what to believe? It's just that's the thing as well. It's so hard to know what to believe.
Agree with you completely. And you and I had this conversation the other day about empathy.
Yeah.
It turns out you are much more empathetic than I am. For a woman, what has happened? I don't seem to have that much empathy. In fact, I remember recommending that book to you, A Case Against Empathy.
Yes.
Maybe you shouldn't read it.
No, I'm down. I want to read it. No, I
think it weakens society.
Empathy.
I do.
Explain why.
It's permissive. It gives you permission. For example, you just said you feel badly because people are getting hammered and they don't know where to think or where to turn. And I think, right, you turn to instinct, you turn to critical thinking, you do the research, and you don't allow yourself to be overcome by fear.
I mean, I agree with that. That's what I do myself. That's the standard I hold myself to.
Well, then hold other people to your standard.
That's maybe a lesson I need to learn. But the thing is that there's a voice inside me also that says that people can't really learn lessons until they've had the experience themselves.
It's true.
So you can try and teach them all you want, but until something shifts for them to make them understand it, the lesson's kind of a waste of breath.
And that's genius. And that's what Yogi Bhajan would have said. He said, this is the era of experience. And experience is the only way you can acquire real wisdom. And so you're right. I think you are right. And yet I am intolerant. At least I know what I am.
That's very good. It's authentic.
At least I'm authentic. I'm authentically intolerant.
Awesome.
So what can we look forward to hearing from you? And when is that new album out? Did you release that one single?
I released that single. I have another one coming out next Friday, the 15th of May. And then I have another one on the 29th of May. And then I'm going to do one every month until the album comes out August 21st.
How many do you have that you're going to do one every month?
I mean, the album has 19 tracks on it. So I'm not going to put every song out as a single. Probably like 7 or 8 of them will be singles and the rest will be on the album. But the album is, it's it actually started off as 28 songs.
Oh my God.
I know, because I just had a very inspired year last year.
That's fabulous.
It was incredible.
That must have been cathartic.
It really was. It was one of the best creative output years I've ever had in my life. Yeah, and I wasn't even trying to. That's the thing. I wasn't trying to have like a crazy creative output. I just hit my flow state, and then it just kept coming. It kept coming, And at the end of it, I just had too much material, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I'm like, what do I do? And then eventually it sort of found this shape of this album with the 19 songs, which already is a lot for an album. But these 19 songs actually sort of had a narrative and an arc that worked really well together.
You mean like an old school album where there's oh wow.
Yeah, it's like
I love that.
Oh, it's like a Pink Floyd type
that's epic.
Dark Side of the Moon type concept.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's and actually there's another whole layer to the whole thing. So there is the whole 1 over infinity, the title, all the things we talked about, what that means. But also it's going to be released as a vinyl as well. And each side of the vinyl, 4 sides, each side is an element. So all the songs on side 1 are fire, all the songs on side 2 are water, all the songs on side 3 are air, and all the songs on side 4 are earth. And
I'm loving this.
But the wild part about this is I didn't sequence it that way. I just sequenced the songs in a way that would make sense to get 20 minutes aside on vinyl and to have the more bass-heavy tracks earlier in each side. And then I noticed that the lyrics pointed to these elements, and it was just done. I was like, wow.
So you actually really were channeling.
I feel like something was happening.
You were channeling.
Yeah, and then the other songs...
Which is why it also free-flowed.
Right. Yeah, and then the other songs that are left over, they will be a separate album that will come out in 2027, and it's already ready. But I'm not going to focus on that for now.
I'm sure all your artist friends that listen to this are like, oh, he had too much material. Poor guy. Poor guy. Cry me a river. That should be everyone's problem.
I mean, it was my problem, when I did it's been 5 years since my last album. And the reason why it took so long between the two is because once I started touring and DJing and just being active in that way, and also doing social media and all that stuff, it just actually took so much energy out of me that I didn't have the energy required to be creative in the studio again. And it took 4 years to get me back in the zone that I could be. And then once I was, by the way, I went on a total, I switched off social media. I was off Instagram for 6 months.
That must have felt so good.
It was incredible.
It really does knock it out of you.
It does.
It really, and you have to do it. It's sort of, I wonder when that's going to change. But yeah, it just knocks it out of you. It's an energy zap.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's a creativity zap because as we've discussed, energy is creativity. Yeah, I know. I'm learning. I'm right now trying to figure out with Haley because she's very, very good at it. I'm trying to figure out how to get my flow in that arena, and there's still a little bit of discomfort in me
Yeah,
about it. Do you know what I mean? It
I
feels
do.
so self-promotional. Well, it is, but it's still something that I have a block against, and I'm really trying to work through.
Me too. I think that I was actually thinking about this today because something that I value a lot is the art of subtlety. Um, I
Back to
think
the subtle body.
back to the subtle body, but I think like so much greatness in culture comes from um, making a suggestion, not hammering it over the head, and just leaving it with an audience. That then it's like blooming a seed in that person's mind. You know, like Shakespeare's like that. The Greek tragedies are like that. Um, there's so many other things that inform what our culture is as humans in the world have come out of that subtlety, right? Or if you look at impressionistic paintings, they're like that, you know, like these things have come out of subtlety. But the format of Instagram, and Instagram, by the way, is the best one. TikTok's the real nightmare. The format of these things is if you don't grab someone with and hit them over the head within the first like 3 seconds, you're toast. And
So the art of subtlety is dying.
right, you got no chance to be subtle, you know, and or nuanced, and
Nuanced, I love that word. And you're right. There is no nuance in what we're watching.
right, and I think that's also a problem about like the love thing because you know, in order to be tolerant of people who have different ideas, you have to like allow for the nuance. You know, like if you're someone who's like believes that we should have guns, and if you're someone who believes that we shouldn't have guns, if there's no nuance, you two will always be enemies, right? But if the person who believes that we shouldn't have guns can listen to the story of why the person who thinks we should have guns thinks we should have guns and has some degree of empathy, even if they don't agree, even if they're like, no, I'm still anti-gun, but like, let me listen to your story. Or if the anti-gun person is like, okay, I still want my gun, but let me listen to your story why we think we shouldn't have guns, right? Then at least these people might be able to influence each other to find a more balanced position for the gun owner to be more responsible with the gun, or for the gun not owner to be like, you know, just more tolerant of understanding other people, you know,
Understand your enemy, know your enemy, and
right,
they're no longer an enemy.
exactly. But right now they have to be enemies because like if you don't, if you, right, here's what happens right now. If you're a gun person, right, and you don't come out saying we love guns, then all your gun friends are going to turn against you. They'll be like, why didn't you in the first 3 seconds of your post talk about how great guns are? Or if you're an anti-gun person, if you don't come out in the first 3 seconds of your post talking about how terrible guns are, then your friends are going to turn on you and be like, why aren't you like this?
Exactly right.
I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, I love the way you think. I mean, this is crazy, but we were talking about artists in politics. You'd be such a great politiker. I mean, no, really, conscious politics. We just don't have it. Everybody needs that 3-second knock over the head. We're so, we're so closed minded. And, it's making me think like, oh gosh, my intolerance. Definitely got to work on that. And you're right. Like if I knew where that person with the mask on was coming from, or if I understood that they had a 95-year-old mother who they were seeing that afternoon and they were afraid, right? Like that changes the entire narrative.
Right.
Beautifully said. I love the things you think about.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's nice that it seems like you give yourself time and space to mull over ideas and think about things and really get to know yourself and understand yourself.
Mm-hmm. Try. I mean, when I was young, I think a lot of it happened when I was young. I used to read a lot. I don't read as much as I would like to these days. My eyes get tired. I'm exhausted from looking at screens all day. But when I was like, I guess between the ages of 15 and 25, I used to read a book every week. And just taking that time to do that and reflect on what I'm reading. And quite often the books I would read were not fiction. Sometimes they were, but a lot of the time I would read philosophy books or just books about like history or books about autobiographies of people. Like I read, it was like really interesting. I read like a biography on Stalin once, for example. And that was really fascinating. I opened my eyes up to a lot of things because this guy that is, you know, who killed a lot of people, you know, like he had a crazy story, and he was just like a regular person, a working class regular person who like got himself and to understand the chain of events and how things sort of precipitated over the course of his life. It doesn't justify any of it. It doesn't make me go, oh.
No, of course not. But it's an interesting character study,
It's an
for
interesting
sure.
character study, and it just sort of like makes you understand, or at least be aware of, like, what can be there for anybody, good and bad, you know?
And what kind of a personality is able to seduce
Right.
a nation?
Exactly.
Like these characters that are seducing nations all have similar characteristics.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they've put nations in a trance.
Yeah.
They create puppets, and we see that now to some degree.
Oh, yeah.
It's really important not to be able. The only person you should be able to put in a trance is yourself.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, and your lover sometimes, you know, but that all depends. I am so honored to have had you on today.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah,
was really fun.
I love your voice. I love your cadence. It's really beautiful. Have people told you that before?
I've heard it a few times.
It's actually hypnotic.
Really?
Yeah, it's really hypnotic and lovely.
Can I share something about it though?
Of course.
Funny thing is that I felt very self-conscious about my voice for a long time. I didn't like the sound of my voice. I also felt confused about my accent, and my accent changes as well depending on who I'm talking to. And
Chameleon-y?
yeah, because like I've grown up in different places, and you know, I've just sort of always was like, I don't really know who I am. Like I don't know what my voice is, and I always hid behind people, you know, in my career. Like I never took the limelight. I was always sort of like the guy behind the scenes helping out. And you know what changed it all for me? Doing yoga teacher training.
Conscious communication?
Yeah, conscious communication, having to teach a class and stay on top of watching them, the rhythm of what you're instructing them on, and sort of commanding their attention, but also being there to correct them when they're, you know, not doing something in perfect alignment or whatever. And just kind of carrying all that at once, like thinking about the class, thinking about projecting, thinking about having them inspired by you so that they can actually make it through the hardest poses and hold the long holds where it's just everyone just wants to collapse, you know. And pushing myself to do that, it opened up my voice in so many ways. It actually physically opened up my voice, but it also opened up my confidence to be able to actually say what I feel like I want to share. And this is a new thing. This has been like maybe 6-7 years in my life, you know.
Again, you may have been tapped in, not maybe, it sounds like you just tapped into that golden chain. And then the meridians open and you find your confidence.
I feel like that's what happened. Essentially what I'm trying to say is that my gratitude is to the practice of yoga. It really did this for me, you know.
Wow.
More than anything else.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that because I'm a big believer as well. As you know, I think. Wait, before we go, I want to just tell the audience a little bit about how we met. So I met you through my friend Kirushka, But can you tell the audience about how you connected with her? Because it's such a beautiful story, and I think it says a lot about you because you followed through on it. You got this message and you followed through on it. So we'll tell you. You can tell that story, and then we'll close out. But I do want to hear it.
Okay, sure. Well, we had originally met, just chatting on Instagram. I mean, we were aware of each other as artists, but we'd never actually met in real life. We just sort of like, oh, I like what you're doing, like what you're doing. So I had awareness of her, she had awareness of me. And then I had like a reading done by some like, light language type, I don't know what channel I would say, where they wrote like 5 pages of scribbles that did not look like any kind of language that we're aware of today.
Right.
And, none of it was intelligible. It all just looked like, scribbles.
Scribbles.
But very, very clearly in one of these 5 pages, Kira's name, including her last name, was written in something that looks like English and looks like her name. And it didn't look exactly like English and her name, but it looked like a 80% approximation of English and her name. Enough that I recognized it. So then I reached out to her and I told her what had happened, and I said, I think we should meet because I just saw this, And when I went to meet her, and she was very gracious, and she said, yeah, let's do it. So when I went to meet her, I showed her the paper, and she immediately saw it too. Like, she was like, oh my God.
What a great,
Yeah.
honestly, what a great story. And the fact that it was her, because she was so open to that,
Yeah.
But it sounds like a lot of people in your world would be open to that. But it was such a beautiful story. And then she had you come here.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and that's, history in the making.
Beautiful.
So, darling, how do people reach you? What's your website?
Oh, I just mainly use Instagram, and it's at Reza Safinia Music. I'm also on Spotify.
Safinia, Safinia, and I'll put it in the...
Yeah, so at Reza Safinia Music. It's the same on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, all the places.
And are you doing any more live concerts, or right now you're taking a break from live shows?
Right now I am, but I'm actually prepping to start doing them once my album comes out in August. So in the latter part of the year, I'm hoping to do a tour.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed you.
Thank you.
And I love
Thank
talking to you.
Me too.
On and off the podcast.
Me too. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Satnam.
Satnam.